Hello, everybody. It's my privilege to introduce to you, all the way from the south side of Chicago, the man, the myth, the legend, my Theo, your brother, the South Side Unicorn.
And what they're proposing, Romney wants to he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Hey, it's your boy Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show. And we have had a cavalcade of guests on the show lately, and I'm sure you know why. Because politics is on fire, baby. Everybody is throwing their hats in the ring. President Donald J. Trump, he's a firebrand, and he started something. He's fired people up inside their hearts, and they're like, I can do that. I know I can contribute to making America great again. I know I have something to offer that's going to make everything the way it used to be. So with that, we have a whole lot of people coming on board, and the Southside Unicorn Show and yours truly, we're absolutely honored for each and every guest that comes onto the show that we can introduce to you. Because let's face it, a lot of these names and faces, if you're not a political beast, if you don't digest politics every day, you're probably not going to know all of these names and all of these people. So they need to be introduced to you because they're really busy out there campaigning and doing the things they got to do that way. But it's, how can I put it? You guys know how I say it. It's little sound bites. Well, on the Southside Unicorn Show, we don't do sound bites. We sit down, we chill, we have a chat with these people, a real conversation so that you can get a feel of exactly who you're dealing with. Well, today, and I would say my brother, my homie, my friend, but even though that's true, I can't say that today. I got to give him the honor and respect that's due him. He is a vice president of a major corporation. He has his own radio talk show called America Matters on the famed Salem radio station, The Answer. He's now thrown his hat into the ring as a gubernatorial candidate for the state of California. So even though all those other accolades are true, without any further ado, allow me to introduce you to Mr. Leo Zackey, a candidate for the state of California gubernatorial race. Leo, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate that. And you're my homie. You are my brother. You are my friend. So that's all true. I'm honored to be here, and yeah, I'm in the race. I've been fighting this fight here in California for a few years now, and it's a bit of a challenge because I am a political outsider. I'm a Californian, a fourth generation Californian at that, ag business background, been in part of a lobbying organization as a board member for a decade. So I've been around this stuff for a while, but actually getting involved to actually run for governor is something I decided to do after the 2020 election that we witnessed, the most fraudulent one ever. And I've been just clawing my way into this whole picture. And
you're pushing with the elbows and all of that. And as with most political candidates, you have a wealth of information that's inside of you, and you're ready to get it out there. But we got some time. Can I have you for an entire show? Is that possible?
You kidding me? Anything for you, bud.
Oh, thank you so much. So then watch this. I'm going to lean back. I'm going to relax for a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, you do the same thing. Go get your favorite beverage, whether it's soda pop, water, what have you, and kick back for a while. We got you. We're about to have a chat with my friend Leo Zackey, a gubernatorial candidate for the state of California. Let's start from the beginning. You know how my man, what is his name? Don't say anything. Drake started from the bottom. Now
we're here.
Yeah, now we're here. Started from the bottom, right? So you come from the famed Leo Zackey Farms family, a dynasty. That's your family, right?
Yeah, ZACKY Farms. My great grandfather started it in 1928 here in Los Angeles.
Wow. So let's kick the ballistics this way. Let's just keep it real. When people hear that you come from a virtual corporate dynasty, and if I'm not mistaken, ZACKY Farms is or was in business for over 90 years. Do I have that right?
Yeah, we were in business for 90 years, but unfortunately, California's regulatory process and unfair business practices, arbitrary rules, minimum wage price hikes, so many things compounded that forced us to have to shut down our doors, and we were no longer able to operate here in California as a vertically integrated family-owned business. So after
Okay.
90
And
years.
and I had my exposure to business, and I could have Googled it, but I said I'm gonna see my brother on the show, and I'm gonna keep it organic. I'm gonna keep it natural. I want to ask you, what does vertically integrated mean?
Oh, well, vertically integrated means that you do everything in-house with, a handful of exceptions. So the only things that we really bought would have been fuel, raw material like to make feed like corn and soy, and packaging material. Other than that,
Wow.
did everything in-house. So we laid, hatched, raised, processed, packaged, and shipped chicken and turkey with our own fleet of trucks and our own feed mills.
So in short, your family didn't need nobody. You had this. It was on lock. In
Pretty
fact,
much. I
if
mean, we
you had it a lot. If I'm not mistaken, you were also on the board of the Chicken Federated. I mean, like the
yeah,
board that
Yeah,
governs.
the California Poultry Federation, which is a lobbying organization that helps protect the poultry industry in California from, well, obviously poor legislation that is trying to get pushed through. That they work hard to work with the legislators to help that, but unfortunately, the people that we're dealing with in Sacramento and even in Washington D.C., whether it's congressmen or senators or the USDA, the FDA, the EPA, they really don't care about you or your business or your family, but they sure love being wined and dined. And I learned this firsthand, and it's pretty disgusting how our politics works here in this country.
So here they come knocking at your door because you got deep pockets, and I learned that game myself because I own a small business. But those who mentored me, they taught me the concept of the deep pockets. So you're right. I guess if they want the mother's milk, which is campaign money, endorsements, they were knocking on your door. But I bet that had to be a strange feeling where here they are asking for your hard-earned money from your family-owned business, yet they're driving a knife in your back.
Yeah, I mean, when you sit down with folks trying to have them understand like simple concepts of agriculture, like we had this one issue where they wanted to ban a piece of equipment that we used in our processing where, it's basically when you take the birds off the trucks to go and be processed, you hang them on these things called shackles. Well, shackles, apparently has like a slavery undertone to it. So they were going to do away with it. So we're literally sitting there and like, hey, like you guys need to block this. Like, well, we already made a deal with the other side on this. So we're going to vote with them on this. And, that's just how it works. Because when we need them to vote with us on things, they're going to vote with us. That's how it works. And I had to literally sit there and explain to them that this is such an important piece of equipment that it won't allow us to process at the rates that we need to actually keep up with the demand, and that the only other options for processing birds would to be either gas them or drown them. So when I gave them that understanding and explanation, they changed their tune. But I mean, it's just like simple things like that they'll go to war and want to
And,
do away with.
and let me ask you a question. Would that have really been a social issue that they were trying to take this equipment away for? Did they say something like it causes poison in the birds, or the shackles, have an
No,
EPA problem? What what
nope,
what was their
nope.
reasoning?
Just so what was their reasoning? It was just I guess a leveraging piece tactic for some other piece of legislature that maybe they were discussing in the House. I couldn't say for sure, but I
Okay,
mean it's
so
just
it just
ridiculous. It was
was.
brought up. It was brought up by Democrats too. So
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this out there because we're going to go step by step with my brother Leo. We got the time. We're going to take the time. So let us just put this out there from the onset. If someone said that the great Zacky Farm Empire went out of business for mismanagement, no, you don't stay in business 90 years and not know what you're doing. If someone said that it was just part of their cycle that Zacky Farms had to go out the way, excuse me, you don't end up on the board of the Federated making policy and not know what the hell you're doing. So, ergo sum, eliminate the impossible, and no matter how improbable, whatever remains is the truth. So, Leo, please tell the people why the great Zacky Farm Empire faded away.
well, it had to do with being completely owned and vertically integrated in California and operating exclusively in California. So other people say, well, aren't there other poultry companies in California? Well, yes, there are, but here's the thing. They don't exclusively produce in California everything that they do. They're not owned entirely by a family privately. There's companies that are supported by religious institutions like the Mormon Temple. There are others that are publicly traded. And then there are those that do other types of production in states like Louisiana, where the minimum wage is far less. So their operational costs in California are offset by those. So to be a California exclusive brand, to be vertically integrated in California is what we always did. And we were able to be successful because of the way that California's legislature and the business playing field was established. But when it became woke and progressive and anti-business, well, that changed. Our fixed costs were directly inhibited by California's arbitrary rules. I mean, CARB is one small example. We had a fleet of trucks. We had over 70 trucks. And when the CARB initiatives got pushed about, how truck idling and having to have all these special equipment and then the regular testing, and they have to meet these emission standards, all these crazy things, it made more sense for us to do away with our fleet of trucks and go to a leasing company and have another third party handle our trucking and not do it in-house.
And then now that's more overhead that you got to carry because you couldn't do it in-house.
Right. And if we did it in-house, there's all these cost savings that come from it. And then, 2016, the minimum wage in California goes from $10 to $15. That's a 50% increase in minimum wage. And when I'm competing with folks that produce in places like Georgia or Louisiana, for example, where it's $7.75 an hour minimum wage, they're now out producing me on a labor cost factor by half. And then I have arbitrary rules here in California that limit how much space I can have for my birds. The birds need to have more room. So when they double the square footage requirements for each bird, so you take the existing operating, capacity that I have and you cut it in half. So now I have to then go out and buy more land, build more ranches, and it's very cost prohibitive. And it's not just like a switch. You turn it on, you turn it off. It doesn't just work that way. There's a lot of things that go into it.
Was part of the legislation that your family had to make sure they turned down the bed on each chicken before they went to sleep at night too? I mean, this is crazy, man. So, I had the honor and privilege of preparing some meals with some ZACKY Farms chicken. It was delicious. It was good. It was fresh. It was well packaged and big portions too. I don't know what was going on with them chickens, but they were pretty big and they were nice. So we're going to move on to other stuff.
Well, we were just so you know, like we have portions that, we have a special parameter that we want. Like we bring our birds in at 4.8 pounds when they're alive. So the finished weight is about 3.5. That's the target you want. That way the breast meat comes between 8 to 10 ounces. That's what
you're making me hungry, man.
That's how it works. And by the way, we pioneered antibiotic free here with ZACKY Farms. And when we shut our doors in January of 2019, we were the nation's largest organic turkey producer, and we were responsible for 50% of Trader Joe's ground turkey for the whole country.
Right.
Yeah. So we're not a small operation. At one point at our peak, we had 4,000 employees. And in like 2000, we were like, the company was valued at a little over $500 million in $2,000. Yeah.
So watch this. This is, and we're going to go into other segments, ladies and gentlemen. But again, this is how we're doing it. I don't get to see my friend very often. And when I learned that he was running for governor, I'm like, oh, we got to do this. We got to have this conversation. But 4,000 employees. You are a golden child of the state of California. You are a native son. Why did they treat you so hostile? Were they aware of the impact they were causing on your business?
They don't think about, it's not even about me. It's about all the people that lost their jobs. They pass these laws, they pass these regulations, and they do it all in the name of, climate justice or social justice or equity or whatever. And they don't fully think it through. I mean, sure, it might sound nice, but they don't understand how it actually impacts businesses and people. When you dictate to the whole state that you have to raise your minimum wage because, well, things are so expensive, people aren't making enough money. It doesn't correlate that they have more money in their pocket, because labor is 40% of your fixed cost in any business as your overhead. So when you literally increase it by 50%, the company doesn't really have the ability to flex with that.
There's no leeway for that. And ladies and gentlemen, if it don't make money, it don't make sense.
Yeah.
And the bottom, if it don't make money, it don't make sense. The owner has to make money. The employees have to make some money too. But now these employees, they went from making some money to having no money.
Right.
But that's pretty bad. But watch this. I know, see, you got a wealth of information in you, but here comes the trick, Leo, and you know this one. We got to pay some bills up in this house. So we got to get ready for a station break. But when we come back, we're going to go into immigration and Leo Zacky's opinion and policies regarding immigration, good and bad, in the state of California and the United States. Can't wait to hear what he's got to say about that. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after these messages. Go nowhere.
Step 1, train the people only to consume. Step 2, infiltrate adults with the news. Step 3, indoctrinate the children through the schools and the music and the apps on the phones that they use. Step 4, separate the right from the left. Step 5, separate the white from the black. Step 6, separate the rich from the poor. Use religion and equality to separate them more. Step 7, fabricate a problem, made a lie. Step 8, put it on the news every night. Step 9, when people start to fight and divide, take control. This is called situational design.
When I see a new broadcast from the Southside Unicorn, I can't wait to listen to it. You just never know what he's going to say.
Hey, my name is Toot Sweet, and I'm New York City's original artist, singing for the cause of freedom. I've spent the last 10 years of my life documenting history through my music. It's like a recipe that's blessing me, bringing out the best of me, aggressively testing me to create my own destiny and understanding, universally accepting adversity and learn more lessons in life than you'll learn in any. And when I'm in need of a dose of reality to escape the liberal land of make-believe, I tune in to the Southside Unicorn, where the truth is as solid as New York City concrete. My name is Toot Sweet, and you're listening to my friend Ken White on the Southside Unicorn, and this party's just getting started.
You are listening to the Southside Unicorn Show, hosted by my friend Ken White. He'll be back after these messages.
Hey, it's your boy Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show, and we are back for segment 2. And we still have Leo Zacky with us, which is a great honor. He is running for the office of governor in the state of California. When we left off in the first segment, we were just getting a good feel for this accomplished businessman, this prince of the industry, if you will. And he was explaining to us just how damaging the woke policies of California can be to a business. So we're going to resume with that and tap it off and go into immigration. So as you were saying in the first segment about wages and offsetting, what were you saying?
Well, the fact that it's a fixed cost, because you have variable costs in business and fixed costs. Variable costs fluctuate. That can be seasonality, availability. Those are things that companies can move and work within to increase their margins. Fixed costs are kind of like hardline items that you just really don't have any flexibility with. So when you increase minimum wage, companies have to adjust, and the only way they can adjust is by increasing the price. And then that product now becomes more expensive, and this negative cycle happens, and the value of the dollar becomes worth less, because then people, they might be earning more money, but they have to spend more money for the same product that they were already getting because of those kinds of practices. And then when it comes to playing on a global market, which we're doing here in California, because agriculture is the number one reason California is as large of an economy as it is. I mean, we've been the fifth for so long, and I'm hearing contradictory things about us and sliding into fourth place, which I don't believe. I think we're certainly falling more than anything. And we play on a global market here in California, as I mentioned. We exported, oh my God, I can't tell you how many millions of pounds of products to China, to Mexico, to Canada. So we, as a, not only as a state, but as a nation, we lose our ability to be competitive in that global market when we don't have a competitive price point by those arbitrary rules and regulations that are passed here in California.
Wow. So I would imagine when you, as a child, see your family business vertically integrated starting to be attacked. That's the word I want to use. They were attacked by the legislators of the state of California. It almost feels personal. So I would imagine that's making you feel some kind of way, huh?
Well, look, it's not necessarily me. What happened, I'm just a prime example of what happens in California with their poor policies, because if it can destroy a business that's family owned and as large as we were, it can destroy anybody's business. And it doesn't matter large or small, but think about how difficult it is for folks. You're in business yourself. I mean, how difficult it is just to make it by here in California. The arbitrary rules you have to abide by, the whole regulatory process with signing up, and just the taxation, how you don't really get to keep your
You spend more of your time filling out paperwork for these bureaucratic agencies than you do running your own business. As a matter of fact, I have to do some paperwork tonight that just makes me go, oh, but it's got to be done, and they want their paperwork on time, as if though, even though you and I are self-employed, as if though we work for the state. It's
right.
it's, it's crazy, you know. So with that, you know, you made a statement at the CPAC, which we're going to actually share that with you, ladies and gentlemen. I believe it was a very awesome speech. You came onto the stage like a boss. It was really cool. And I'm like, okay, this man is top level stuff. He's ready to handle the big game. You're ready to handle the big game because you had 4,000 employees. When you get to 4,000 employees, it's not that big a jump to be the CEO of a state. There's not much of a, wouldn't you agree?
Well, I mean, we were, yeah, it's a lot of people to manage, a lot of moving parts. You know, did I directly oversee all of them? No. And we had 4,000 employees at our peak. When we closed, we had about 1,000. We'd been trying to survive. So I just want to make sure that,
Okay.
I don't
But
want to have any false statements out there.
Right. We don't do that. We don't do that on your show, my show. We keep it real. But I'm still pointing the picture. You know, some companies struggle with 5 employees. Just having 5 is a headache with
Yeah.
thousands. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. And you were able to do that successfully for decades, you know. So I want to point that out and give you credit where credit
Thank
is
you.
due.
I appreciate that.
But as you said in the CPAC meeting, California's $3.7 trillion in deficit, yet Gavin Newsom is running around, strutting around like a turkey, saying that we're the 4th largest, no pun intended. He's running around, strutting around, saying that we have the 4th largest economy in the world. Help me out here, Zach. You're a businessman. Is that math jabbing to you, or what's going on?
No way. This is something very wrong. Look, everything that the state has been doing when it comes to business has been shoving them out of here, whether it's agriculture, like the dairies are packing up and getting ready to leave. You have almond farmers that are ripping up their crops. You have not just almonds, but even citrus farmers, all these small family farms, 50, 100, 200 acres that can't make it because of the water restrictions that are here in California. When you have businesses like Chevron that have been here for 140 years, packing up and leaving. In-N-Out Burger moved headquarters to Tennessee. Oracle's left. Tesla's left. 99-cent stores went out of business.
I miss my 99-cent stores. Let me tell you, I
They were a
had
great
no shame
customer.
in my game. Right. I had no shame in my game rolling up to the 99-cent store and filling my basket. Now my basket ain't so full no more.
Yeah, and it ain't so cost effective now, is it?
Right. That's right.
And 99-cent store was a great customer of ours, but that's the thing. When all these businesses pack up and leave, the jobs leave with them too, and so does the tax revenue. I mean, hell, look at the movie industry. They're hardly making any movies here in California.
It can't.
Well, because it's too many rules, too many regulations. There's no incentive to be here in California. And part of my solutions here in California is to help bring the movie industry back, not just help ag, because ag's my forte, but help make things available for all people. I want to incentivize business to be here in California, make us competitive on a national scale for job opportunities, but make us competitive with the products that we produce here on a global scale.
That's where I want to drill in a little bit, because as we go down into the show, ladies and gentlemen, it gets deeper and deeper. And We have Mr. Zacky here with us, and he's going to answer the questions, and we're going to keep it fact-based and no hyperbole. But now we're talking about what these leftists, socialists, the woke, I mean, if that's the word, we got 1,000 words for these people, but they're in charge by over 80% of our legislature, and they've almost ruined housing, business. Everything in California is on the decline. Should you sit in the governor's seat? One, I know I'm gonna get an invitation, but should you sit in the governor's seat? And we're still on the topic of business. A lot of people have said things like they want to abolish taxes, so forth and so on. What would be your first thing you did in office to help the beleaguered, under attack businesses in the state of California?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do. I mean, I think just flat out lowering the taxes is something that we can make happen for businesses. But we also have to do away with the regulations more than anything. I like what Trump did in his first term, where every new regulation that came in, you had to get rid of two. I thought that was a great concept, and it worked really, really well. And you know what the results were from that?
What?
11% growth in the middle class. That's success.
Well, if the middle class grows, everybody benefits. They talk about trickle down economics. Well, if you got the ultra rich and the ultra poor, that trickle down is going to be a real sorry trickle. But with the middle class buys stuff.
Yeah.
Widescreen TVs because of the Super Bowl. They get gardening services. We could go on and on about what the middle class services as, but it's like a transmission from the engine to the wheels. Without a transmission, hey, that thing is going willy-nilly, and that's our American economy. But now we're going to smooth go into one thing before we get to the immigration issue. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, Leo Zacky walked on to the CPAC of 2025. He walked on like a boss, and his speech was very good. So I feel compelled to want to share that with you all tonight. So, Leo, if it's okay with you, I'm going to take a moment and we're going to expose that speech to the people.
Sure, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Leo Zacky at the CPAC of 2025 and his speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Leo Zacky.
Hello, CPAC. My name is Leo Zacky, and I'm the host of the international radio show America Matters on the Salem Network and the Answer Network. I was vice president of ZACKY Farms, my family's poultry company, and a board member of the California Poultry Federation for 10 years. 120 years ago, my family legally immigrated to California, where my great-grandfather started what became ZACKY Farms. ZACKY Farms was a vertically integrated business and the largest poultry company on the West Coast, largest organic turkey producer in the nation, and the largest privately owned employer in California. After 90 years, we were forced to close our doors and put thousands of people out of work because of elected officials in California who hate private business. They raised the anti-competitive minimum wage and overregulated the entire industry until it was impossible to exist. Now, a lot of smart people will tell you this is just mismanagement, just waste, just incompetence. But let's be real for a second. This is not incompetence. This is a deliberate strategy to destroy small businesses and the middle class. California isn't run by the people anymore. It's run by a political cartel, by a handful of ruling families and their cronies who will not stop unless we drive them out. Many of you, especially the younger ones in the audience, might not even know this, but California used to be a red state, a strong conservative state. And here's what they don't want you to know. California still has more conservatives than any other state. That's more than Texas, more than Florida. So how do the radicals stay in power? They built a one-party dictatorship, and they call it a supermajority. And they did this by running Democrats, but calling them Republicans. These rhinos stole the vote from the people by making IDs for voting illegal, by inflating the census, gerrymandering, ballot harvesting, and removing all oversight that was in place to ensure election integrity. I'm no detective, but even a dummy can smell voter fraud when the state with the most conservatives somehow magically votes blue every year. We are blessed to have Donald Trump as our president. We truly are. But all that means is that we have a few more years and a fighting chance to clean out the gangsters who are plundering our beautiful nation. The fight continues, and we must win this battle. And this battle is in California. We can turn California red again. It's responsible for some of the worst legislators in the nation and destabilizing our republic with anti-American policies. If it happened here, it can and will happen in your state too. But that's why you're here, to see conservative values defended against the psychotic enemies of our republic with their BS woke agenda 21 and 15-minute cities. Every day, the new Department of Government Efficiency exposes more of their lunacy and disgusting waste. California needs its own Doge and a proper purchasing department to manage its spending habit with full transparency. Transparency in our government is mandatory to keep out the bad guys. California is over $3.2 trillion in debt. And thanks to Doge, we will soon know some of the insanity these maniacs have been wasting our money on. This isn't just corruption, it's criminal. The fires in Los Angeles have woken up a lot of lefties. So guess what? It doesn't matter if you used to be a liberal or conservative when you're homeless. Losing everything tends to change your mindset. I'm here to tell you that California is ready for change, but it won't happen without the support of our Republicans across the nation. That means all of you, everyone in this room and listening at home, wants to save this country and defeat the Marxist globalist woke agenda. The time to strike is now. But the establishment rhinos are working hard to derail our America First efforts. Support your grassroots patriots and sign up for your local precinct committeemen. There's over 200,000 empty seats out of the 400,000 nationwide. If we're going to hold the line, we need to scoop them up and also run for local board, council, committee, statewide positions. Trump winning does not mean the war is won. It means we are just getting started. And Americans are gearing up. The battle isn't just against a toxic ideology. It's against criminals who have infiltrated our system and are trying to destroy it from within. We are going to break the totalitarian supermajority in California with the help of God, the prayers of the righteous, and a lot of hard work. Again, my name is Leo Zacky, and please tune into my radio show Monday through Friday and visit my website to see how you can get involved locally with other patriots. Go to turnred.org, and I want to thank all of you so much. America, California's in the fight. Thank you, CPAC.
See, I told you, that speech was pretty good. That speech was very heartfelt and very passionate. And he had a lot of stuff in there that we're going to now add to our conversation on the Southside Unicorn Show. But as promised, we're going to talk about immigration real quick. Leo Zacky is a Californian. He's not like me or many of the rest of us who have come to California from somewhere else. You've been here. You know, be like, don't call us to come back. I've been here for years. Mm-hmm. So, okay, with that being said, his family has been in California, and if I'm wrong, stop me. You've been in California for 120 years, and you are the descendant of immigrants. Am I right?
Yep. We've been here in Los Angeles for over 120 years.
Wow. So give us a little short story of the 120 years of the Zacky family. What's going down and how did it happen and who immigrated here?
Well, some of my great grandparents and some great great grandparents came to this country a very long time ago. Uh, I don't know the whole story of how they wound up here. All I know is that they got to California in the early 1900s in Los Angeles.
Wow. And that's okay because it's true of all of us. By the time you get to the fourth generation, very few of us know our great grandparents. We definitely don't know who our great great grandparents were. So that's just par for the course. But it does give you an empathetic perspective on this incredible immigration issue. So I'm just going to say one word and then you take it from there. Immigration.
Yeah. Well, also on the subject of immigrants, a lot of my friends are first generation born immigrants. I even have folks that, came here and became naturalized citizens, and they understand the importance of what it is to be an American, the opportunities that come from being here in America. So I'm all for legal immigration through the proper channels. But illegal immigration is something I've been talking about and out against for a long time because it disenfranchises all the people that came here and did it the right way. And the other worst part too is that when those folks came, like a lot of my Persian Jewish friends that came from Iran, well, they weren't coming here with incentives and handouts for housing and healthcare and education. But the people that are coming here today are exclusively coming here for those handouts, and they take advantage of that. And then you factor in the fact that we have a narco state to our south in Mexico that is pushing the cartel's drugs, that's in cahoots with China, pushing the fentanyl, killing hundreds of thousands of Americans every year. Some of my friends have died to those drugs that are being brought across this border. So
I hear that.
I mean, but there's a lot of reasons that I'm in this fight and talking about the importance of stopping illegal immigration and making sure that this country is fair for those. I mean, for everybody. I mean, the folks on the left that scream about fair and equitable, well, you're disincentivizing and disenfranchising everybody that came here the right way when you do that.
That's right. The devil is a liar when it comes to the Democrats, and I'm sorry to say that, but that's evidence-based, ladies and gentlemen. If they say one thing, they actually mean the other thing. You and I have a mutual friend. Her name is Agnes Gibbony.
Yeah.
She's an angel mom of President Donald J. Trump. She integrated or immigrated into the United States legally from Budapest, and then unfortunately suffered the loss of her son due to an illegal immigrant. You can't make a story like that up. That's like something out of the freaking Twilight Zone. She comes here legally, does everything right, and her beautiful son, Ronnie, was a hero. He's literally tried to stop evil from doing harm to another person and lost his life to an illegal immigrant. So that being said, should you sit in the governor's seat, are you for just basically, if you didn't come in the right way, you got to get your butt out of here? Or are you on the lines of, let's truly look at each and every last one of these people, and if they're not Trende Aragua, if they're not MS-13, if they haven't molested a child, if they haven't bashed a woman's head in with a brick and raped her, please forgive me for being graphic, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm trying to make a point.
Right.
Are you for like full removal, or do you have a plan for that?
Well, I mean, look, if you were to actually sit down and analyze every single individual case, I mean, you're talking about tens of millions of people in cases. I mean, if you're exclusively talking about California alone, I mean, you're probably talking about at least 5 to 7 million people in individual cases. That takes a long, long time. I mean, imagine if we actually went through the whole process of having everybody who was here legally go to the courts. It would take years, if not decades, to have every case heard. So unfortunately, they've broken the law, and unfortunately, with that, there's going to be consequences, but consequences need to be enforced when rules are broken. And we have a big, nasty habit in this country right now of not having consequences for crimes. So I'm 100% in favor of removing everybody who is here illegally or overstaying their visa. And that's kind of what I voted for when I voted for Donald Trump. I wanted ICE agents, local police to go and basically remove these people from this country because they're taking advantage of we the people. This country is America, and it is for Americans. And if you would like to be American, you can go to the proper channels and apply to be one. But if you're going to come here and take advantage of this country and get handouts from this state. And California is so horrible for what they're doing with the handouts and the incentivizations of illegal immigration here by giving free health care and helping pay for homes and housing and the education that they're giving to folks here.
Exactly.
What
And
happened?
so,
What about me? What about all my friends that are
right.
here
And
paying
watch
taxes?
this, Zach. I gotta pull you in for a minute because it's that time again, brother. It's time to get some chips up in here. If you're liking the content, if you want to see more, go ahead and help us out by going to what is that? Cash App, cash sign SUSS44, or to our website, which is www.thesouthsideunicornshow.com. Help a brother out. But now, having said that, we're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages. And when we come back, we're going to wrap up on immigration. And then we're going to get Leo Zacky's report card on the first 100 days of President Donald J. Trump. We'll be right back after these messages.
When I see a new broadcast from the Southside Unicorn, I can't wait to listen to it. You just never know what he's going to say.
You were warned. You were told. You were begged not to wake up Gen X. Well, congratulations. We're awake now.
Hey, my name is Toot Sweet, and I'm New York City's original artist, singing for the cause of freedom. I've spent the last 10 years of my life documenting history through my music. It's like a recipe that's blessing me, bringing out the best of me, aggressively testing me to create my own destiny and understanding, universally accepting adversity and learn more lessons in life than you'll learn in any. And when I'm in need of a dose of reality to escape the liberal land of make-believe, I tune in to the Southside Unicorn, where the truth is as solid as New York City concrete. My name is Toot Sweet, and you're listening to my friend Ken White on the Southside Unicorn, and this party is just getting started.
Step 1, train the people only to consume. Step 2, infiltrate adults with the news. Step 3, indoctrinate the children through the schools and the music and the apps on the phones that they use. Step 4, separate the right from the left. Step 5, separate the white from the black. Step 6, separate the rich from the poor. Use religion and equality to separate them more. Step 7, fabricate a problem made a lie. Step 8, put it on the news every night. Step 9, when people start to fight and divide, take control. This is called situational design.
You are listening to the Southside Unicorn Show, hosted by my friend, Ken White. He'll be back after these messages.
Hey, it's your boy Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show, and we are back for the third segment with Mr. Leo Zacky, a gubernatorial candidate for the state of California. Yeah, when you look at all the people who are throwing their hat in the ring, it's like watching the Avengers. It's like watching a Marvel comic because each and every last one of them is a powerhouse in their own right. We gotta send somebody. It's sort of like Highlander. See, I'm into that. I don't know, Zacky, if you're, a Comic Con type of guy, but I am. And so a lot of my references are about movies and things like that. At the end of this game, it's like Highlander. There can be only one. So you have to listen to each candidate and understand who this person is because we got to get this one right, ladies and gentlemen. As you heard in Leo Zacky's speech at the CPAC convention of 2025, this is for all the marbles. We can't get this one wrong. Got to get it right in the state of California. So now, in wrapping up on immigration, you wanted to say a few things about it, and then we're going to get that report card from you.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that, look, if you came here legally, you got to go back. You've broken the law. If we're going to have a nation, we need to have consequences for the laws that we have in place. That's how you keep order in society. And I'm not busting my hump, and neither are you, to turn this state or this nation into a charity. I want people to be able to come here as as citizens that are in the process of becoming citizens. And I understand that there's a lot of refugees out in the world, but we're not the planet's life raft. And I'm certainly sick and tired of being the world's police force too. So I want to take care of Americans. And when I say that America first, I mean it 100% Americans first and Californians first.
There's nothing wrong with that. And as I said, we have a mutual friend, Agnes Gibney, who is an angel mom of President Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
She
Who
came on the
endorsed me,
show.
by the way?
Oh, you got an endorsement out of her?
Yeah, she gave me her
Whoa.
endorsement. So
Good
I'm
job.
very
Good
honored
job.
to have that.
Yeah, that's a good endorsement to have. And as she said, when she came here through Ellis Island, if I'm not mistaken, or she made reference to it. Let me make sure I get that right. She said that they made sure that you had enough money to even come to the United States, that you didn't have any illnesses or sicknesses or anything like that. Because if you didn't have your own money and you came here and kind of broke down, they kind of sent you back. You know what I mean? Because we want your best and your brightest. There's nothing wrong with that. I think when you consider the immigration policies of Japan, well, China doesn't even really have one. In other nations, Mexico, for example, Mexico does not brook illegal aliens. Imagine that. So, having said all of that, it's report card time. President Donald J. Trump has been in office now for 100 days or better. On a scale of standard school grading, as we know it to be, what would be your grade for President Donald J. Trump now?
I'd give him a B plus.
You give him a B plus?
Yeah. I mean, look, he's not perfect. He's done a lot of really great things. I was definitely not down with him giving $500 billion for AI research for, what was it? The vaccines, the AI mRNA vaccines. I'm not with that at all.
Wait a minute. Stop. Now you done messed your brother up. I did not take the jab. I'm proud of it. I don't think, well, I kind of figured you wouldn't. Put it this way. On the day of the scorched earth, should we have zombies running around? There's certain people you can count on when you see them out there in the field. I got you, you got me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not knocking those who had to take the jab because you got families. They put you back up against the wall and said, you got to take this shot. No pun intended. It was an optic. Okay. I'm not knocking those people that had to do that, but I'm not a fan of this mRNA stuff. I have a layman's understanding of what that stuff is, but I don't want that junk in my body. God made me a certain way, and I'm going to leave here that same freaking way. So what is this mRNA stuff you're talking about, bro?
Well, so he had like all these AI guys, like who was the Oracle guy on there, and basically they said that they were going to give $500 billion to go and carry out research with this mRNA AI vaccine stuff, where they could basically like custom tailor a vaccine for people's illnesses and stuff like that. Which it sounds really great on the surface. I love that's how they sell everybody on these things. But I mean, just look at like movies, like look at 007, Inspector, right? They make these, they can custom tailor a virus.
You know what? You're pulling that straight out of my head. I've said that about Zuckerberg. Mr. Zuckerberg, aka Zuckerberg, and all these guys. These guys are all like wannabe Bond villains. All these multi-billionaires and whatnot. I'm waiting on one of them to build their own damn island. So you're saying that this
kind of,
huh?
Epstein.
Yeah, that's a different kind of island. But I hear what you're saying. You're right. He did make his own island. And that's the whole ticket. I kind of feel where you're coming from. So as a governor, you're going to be having
Epstein, that's another thing. That's why I give him a low grade. Where the hell is the released forms? I want to know who was there at Epstein Island.
Yeah, where's the roster?
If it was him, I want to know what happened. Why did we get this redacted nonsense? I wanted that released.
Okay. And you know what? I'm right there with you, brother. Mr. Epstein lost his life. Giselle is in prison for the rest of her life. And yet nobody else is in jail. Nobody else is. That's not right. If you're going to take them out, and we broach on the idea of child sex trafficking and all of that, and California runs 8th in the world for child sex trafficking. Now you got the Democrats who don't even want to sign a bill that will protect 15 to 17-year-olds from annoyance, from solicitation, and the list still hasn't come out. You got a good point, brother. Those 2 points are pretty good. MNRA, that's sketch. The list hasn't come out. That's sketch. What else is sketch? Because a B is kind of, I don't know. In the movie Crimson Tide or whatever it is, there was a word that they used. It was called the villainous Nastavic. The villainous schoolmaster. Your score is like a tough schoolmaster. A B. Okay. What else? Is there anything else that would get that B in place?
I understand the concept of, the gold pass or whatever. And I know that we've sort of had something like that, but I'm not a big fan of necessarily selling US citizenships. I mean, I get the concept. But I'm trying to understand how it's exactly going to play out. I mean, I get it. You're supposed to be able to come in and create jobs.
And yeah, let me correct myself. That wasn't Crimson Tide. Even though I love movies, I got that one wrong. The movie I made that extrapolation from is called The Hunt for Red October, one of my most favorite movies. But go ahead.
No, I mean, so I'm not super fond of the whole selling US citizenship thing because it's a very valuable thing. And, just because you have a lot of money doesn't, and yeah, you can create jobs. It's such an interesting concept. I'm not 100% in love with it. And I just don't think he has the best people around him still. The problem is that there's a lot of gatekeepers, and Trump is very sheltered, apparently, at least from a lot of things. And yeah, he does have an ego, and it does certainly get in the way. That's why people would boo him at his rallies when he would talk about, take the vaccine. But that's how disconnected he is from reality. And that's because he's insulated himself with not the best people. And I mean, maybe I'm impatient. And I want more.
It's only been 100 days, bro. 100 days.
Yeah, but 100 days. But we already know who's doing bad things. We already know that there's a lot of issues in the CIA and the FBI, and why aren't we exposing more of these truths? I was expecting.
Well, I'm ready for the 5 a.m. perp walk. Somebody's got to get perp walked at 5 a.m. How many times did we wake up and see good patriotic Americans by the Biden administration or the Biden regime? We wake up and here come FBI with helicopters, guns, drawn the whole 9 yards. That's how they treated GOP. Now, I'm not saying we want to be as low down and dirty and disgusting as they are, but surely we should have the goods on somebody that we could perp walk. Would you agree?
I think there are. I mean, considering all the nonsense that's gone on between Crossfire Hurricane, the Russia hoax, why aren't we getting anybody held accountable? This is the frustrating things. But look, he's done a lot of great things. I mean, I'm also not fond of him saying, "Oh, he's got this whole real estate plan for Gaza. U.S. should control Gaza." I don't want to be a part of any foreign affairs. I don't want any foreign wars. I don't want to send money to Israel. I don't want to send money to Ukraine. America first means keeping it here.
Now, let me interject right there for my audience, because I'm sure they would probably hit you with this question right about here. That sounds a little xenophobic, brother. That sounds a little xenophobic.
No, it's I want my money to stay in America because we got we have in California, for example, we've got the nation's largest population of homeless. We got over 250,000 people that are homeless in this country. You still have places like Flint, Michigan that don't have clean water. You've got FEMA that ran out of money. I mean, granted, it was under the Biden administration, but ran out of money, couldn't help the people there in Asheville, North Carolina. And guess what? Asheville is still a friggin' mess. Okay.
Don't forget, to this very day?
Yeah. Don't forget East Palestine, Ohio. What's going on over there? That place has still got a lot of problems.
So let me get this straight. They would fix the Gaza, aka Palestine, before they would fix Palestine, Ohio?
That's why I want my money here. I want to help the Americans here because look, there's always going to be tragedy around the world. That's the reality. We live it. This is the real world. Life ain't fair. Okay.
Looks like India and Pakistan are having it too right now. So you're right.
Yeah. Now they're launching. I don't want to be part of that. That's not my thing. That is not my thing. That is not we ain't got no business being over there getting involved in any of these wars. Or we have a lot of problems here at home. Our infrastructure is crumbling. Okay. I mean, we need to invest our money in America and stop sending it overseas. That's why I'm not totally giving Trump an outstanding 100% A plus. Like I said, but he's still doing really good things. He's going after the, then he signed the executive order saying that about the insider trading stuff with
that's going to give a consternation to Nancy Pelosi. That's going to be a thorn in her side, and I believe that's where it was aimed. But now with a B, and you're talking about a flat B, you're not saying a B minus or a B plus. It's just a B. Am I right in your grade?
B plus, yeah.
So with that being said, should you sit in the governor's seat, how's that relationship going to go? I mean, how do you see yourself working with the I don't know what you call him. He's almost more than a president. You almost want to say the emperor, but you know what I'm saying? How is that going to go? How do you see yourself working with him?
I'm going to be completely honest and transparent with him and let him know the needs of California. I mean, the state is half owned by the federal government anyways. Half the land that is. So we're going to have to work with the federal government. I want to work with the president, whether it's Donald Trump or somebody else, because my goal and my objective as the governor is to make sure that the people of California and their needs are being met. And I'd like to exceed their needs and give them the things that they want, but we have to take care of the foundational issues first. I'm happy.
And should you actually, win the election, your administration would outstrip President Trump's term, because the election is in 2026. You'll earn a 4-year administration. So that means you'll be in office until the year 2030. Do I have that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And he's out of here in 2028. So you would actually have to deal with two different
presidents. Yeah.
Right. So, okay, I see where you are with that. And, some people would be reluctant, recognizing who your constituents are going to be for a larger part. They would be reluctant to give this man a B. But I respect that, and I applaud you for being honest about that. But now, we've talked about our fellow GOP. We've talked about the 11th rule of President Ronald Reagan, which is speak no ill of fellow Republicans and da-da-da. But this state, which used to be red, as you outlined in your speech at the CPAC 2025, which was, again, a great speech. This state, which used to be red, still continues to vote blue, and in a terrible way. So we have to take a break. But when we come back, we want to hear your plan for how you're going to appeal to those other people who, the minute they hear the word GOP or Republican, they're instantly, they're turned off from us. But hopefully you have a plan for that. Ladies and gentlemen, when we return from this station break, we're going to be talking to Leo Zacky once again, and we're going to be talking about policy, plan, and some other issues that I'm sure you want to hear from. So we'll be right back after these messages.
When I see a new broadcast from the Southside Unicorn, I can't wait to listen to it. You just never know what he's going to say.
You were warned. You were told. You were begged not to wake up Gen X. Well, congratulations. We're awake now.
You are listening to the Southside Unicorn Show, hosted by my friend, Ken White. He'll be back after these messages.
Hey, it's your boy Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show, and today we have gubernatorial candidate Leo Zacky with us, and we have been talking about a lot of good stuff, including B grades for President Donald J. Trump. Now, hey, everybody has their points and everybody has their scores. I think that's the first time I've heard anybody give him a B, but at the same time, I have to give Mr. Leo Zacky an A for honesty. When we left off, we were talking about a great number of things, but we were sort of about, and I say sort of about because I'm from the south side of Chicago. You got to bear with a brother sometimes. We were sort of about to go into the stratagem of a R. Let's say just an R, because if you got an R by your name, as Leo Zacky stated, we're playing from their 40-yard line just to get up in this game. This is a guerrilla primary type of state, compliments of Arnold Schwarzenegger, which, if I ever see him, man, I got something to say to him because that was cold. He fixed it. He almost put the fix in where a Republican can never be part of the California government again. Now, with that being said, and you preach it to the choir, the pulpit, the people that most gubernatorial candidates from the Republican side, pardon me, deal with are those with an R by their name, or maybe an I sometimes, maybe the independents. But let's keep it real. Nobody is going to win this state in an election if you don't get a good, decent amount of those other people. And I say that just to make the pejorative point. But those who are just instinctively Democrats, the African American community, most of the Latino community, and surprisingly, as I learned by having Dr. Michael Sim on the show, a great deal of the Asian community are simply predisposed to voting Democrat. So with that being said, Mr. Zacky, my friend, my homie, sir, what is your plan in your campaign to get into those areas that Republicans otherwise cannot get into?
Well, you just stick to the key foundational issues, the issues that impact every Californian that are relevant to party lines. And that's the thing with California, is it's such a broken mess that you can throw a rock in any direction and hit a problem, whether it's the drought or the homelessness or the cost of living or wildfires or crime or corruption or education, so on and so forth. But the difference is that I actually have solutions to many of these issues that are common sense, and I can walk you through exactly how we're going to go from where we are to where we can be, and using a lot of these tools to create additional revenue streams to bring in more money for the state that doesn't come from taxation. So by focusing on that and ignoring—
Now, I got to stop you right there for a minute because you whet my appetite. As a small business owner myself, what you just said a mouthful. How are you going to get money? If it's not something you want to discuss right now, that'll be fine. But how do you do that? How do you bring money into the state and it's not taxation?
Resources. And water is a resource that we can create an abundance of. It's a renewable resource, and we can create an abundance of it. You can do it with power too. Guess what? We've got oil here in California. Drill, baby, drill. I'm all about that. Not only will it create jobs, and with my estimates, it'll create about 100,000 jobs here and over $80 billion in annual revenue to the state. So yeah, there's a lot of ways we can bring in money that doesn't require taxation. I mean, look at some of these Arab countries. How do you think they live so well? Because they pay their people from the resources that they extract and sell. So we can absolutely do that here with water, with power, with oil.
Outstanding. And I mean, you just spoke that right out. So that's clearly something you've been thinking about and obviously have looked into. So there's alternative ways to enrich the golden state of California without beating the hell out of its citizens.
Yeah. And if we do it right, we could be one of the lowest tax states in the country. I'd like to do away with all taxes altogether because personally, in my opinion, taxation is theft. For water, it's about creating abundance, and it's really, really simple. We have tons of snowpack in the Sierra Nevadas. I'm an avid snowboarder, so I'm very familiar with all the snow that we're getting up there, but we're just not harvesting it. And when you have things like the Merced bypass where this snow melt runs off and gets dumped out into the ocean, and you're even finding farmers for tapping into that resource, that's a problem.
If my little science education holds up, there are 4 different ways that we can reclaim water or actually purify it, desalinization, so forth and so on. Is the state of California actually implementing any of those 4 reclamation programs?
I mean, they do the toilet to tap crap, which I think is disgusting, and I'm not fond of because the government has really shoddy standards for what is healthy or palatable or safe to consume.
Potable water.
Yeah, I don't really trust government stuff, so I'm not a fan of that. But they use reclaimed water to water a lot of like public spaces and golf courses and whatnot. And I understand the uses of that, but we have been approved for 50 desal plants in California, but environmental regulations have been blocking it. Only a handful have been built, maybe like 1 or 2 has been turned on, and the rest are being held up because of this nonsense environmentalism. They say that, the brine exhaust is going to kill the sea life. Well, I got some news for you. Most of the sea life is around the coastal shelf. So why not just make an exhaust valve that goes miles and miles offshore? We've only built the transatlantic cables and pipelines that crisscross continents. Why can't we build a 30+ mile exhaust pipe for Brian? It's very simple things.
Yeah.
But the problem is
Put it this way. I was on a commission for a small city here in Southern California, and we were trying to do some building projects. The board, we were all talking about it and trying to make it happen. And something called the woolly star, some little insignificant insect. These people come in and tell us, you can't do this development because we have to protect the habitat of the woolly star something. And that was one of my first exposures to the ludicrousy of the California non-elected, what do you call them? Non-elected NGOs?
Non-governmental organizations.
Right, non-governmental organizations. And I was like, the hell you say? We're sitting there trying to improve the life of the citizens in this small town. You guys come in and tell us we can't do this beautiful development because of something called the woolly star.
Ken, so it gets worse. It gets worse. Look what happened here with the fires in Los Angeles. The infrastructure wasn't able to get upgraded because these environmental regulatory processes blocked the construction crews from going in there because they said that, oh, well, they're trampling this shrub. And so they halted the project, didn't allow the upgrades to take place, spent millions of dollars replanting these shrubs, only to have it all go up in smoke and get turned into ash because it's all short-sighted feel-good stuff. The problem with the state is that it's reactionary and not proactive. Okay, we know the rains are going to come, build the reservoirs, build the water storage, harvest it, collect it. Same with the snowpack. We know it's coming. We can do that. And the best part is if you tie it in to my homeless solution like I have, where you literally get these people off the street into a work program, getting them drug treatment and mental health treatment because homelessness's root cause is a mental health crisis compounded by a drug habit, exacerbated by a failed education system here. Provide the treatment, provide job opportunities, give 10,000 people a shovel. They can dig a pretty big hole pretty quickly. They can also pour concrete, and that's how you build reservoirs, rinse and repeat. Okay, we can do all these things here in California. It's not that hard. You compound the desal with some hydroelectric, with damming up our mountains where we can harvest that snowpack water, but also using small modular nuclear reactors, we can have cheap, abundant power to use to generate more water so we can create an abundance and then sell that water to our neighbors that we share it with without building infrastructure to pipe it out because we get the lion's share of the Colorado Rivershed. So you sell it to Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, Utah, Colorado, whatever, whoever the highest bidder is, they can have those portions of our water. So that's how you bring in more revenue. That's how you create abundance. Wow. Because everything's focused on scarcity. They always talk about scarcity. Okay, this is why our water is so expensive. They artificially lower it's supply and demand. They lower the supply by dumping it out.
And then use it against us.
Yes, they artificially lower the supply. Okay, if supply's up here, demand's relatively constant. You dump the water out to the ocean, so the supply comes down. Guess what? It's at the demand level or below. Now you can charge more for the same amount that you were going to sell anyways. It's a grift, and they're screwing we the people over.
Got a couple questions for you real quick as we start heading towards the wrap up of the show. You talked about water, which it sounds like you really thought this one out. You're making a believer out of me. But now let's talk about power. Nuclear power is one of the most efficient ways to deliver energy to the masses. How do you feel about that idea?
I think it's the way to go. I mean, look, if we're ever going to get to cold fusion, right, which is the thing that everybody wants is the safe, and we have to continue to practice hot fission. But we have small modular nuclear reactors. We have the technology where we can run these that have very long useful lives. You don't have to worry about them melting down and having a 3 Mile Island Chernobyl situation. You can control them remotely, and you can build out a grid that is so robust that you don't have to worry if one goes down or needs to be shut down or replaced. You can do it you can do it quickly, and you can still keep all of the power going at a constant rate.
And it would stop the sparking, I would imagine, that came about due to the winds.
Which that's what the transmission wires and cables. We have to upgrade that stuff. We should have these cables being run underground where possible. We should be having metal, or at least stronger materials instead of just like, the flimsy wood telephone poles that we see everywhere. We can upgrade the infrastructure. The technology exists. I mean, I own part of a company that has been able to take industrial plastic waste, convert it into graphene, which is used in electronics. We're working on developing a graphene battery too, so we can also have power storage. It holds a 70% better charge, so more power storage than lithium batteries. It's 40% lighter, and it's non-flammable. And you can even use it to pave roads and possibly transmit electricity.
And that's what I was going to ask you, Mr. Zacky. When it comes to alternative forms of power, the lithium battery, which is used in a lot of our EV cars, if that thing ever catches on fire, it's a problem. In fact, I don't think you can put them out, if I'm correct. You just have to let it.
Yeah, and there's lithium battery like storage, like use like life places that guess what? They're catching on fire and they're causing environmental degradation and they're hurting the communities. I covered this on my show the other week about these kinds of issues.
On America Matters, right? On the Salem radio station?
That's right. Noon, Monday through Friday.
Okay. I'll check you out.
Yeah. ZACKY Radio on YouTube and Rumble. But the point I'm making is that they're inefficient. Like, I understand lithium is the hot element right now, so to speak. But there are other elements like graphene, which, by the way, is currently exclusively mined. So that's the only way you can get it. And between China and North Korea, they control 85% of the global supply. Well,
it's funny you should mention China and North Korea when you get a chance, brother, because we do crisscross on our shows. You need to check out I put it on YouTube and it's on iHeartRadio. I had the pleasure of interviewing a gentleman named Dr. Michael Sims. He gave us the goods on China, North Korea, and South Korea. There's something going on over there, and we better pay closer attention to what's happening on that peninsula. Odd you would say China and North Korea are working on energy issues together.
Yeah, well, I mean, they control the graphene market, and that's what my other point I was making is that I own part of a company that is here in California that is doing environmentally friendly things like taking industrial plastic waste and converting it into something useful and cutting out China and North Korea from that commodity market, where we can do it here, not just in America, but here in California.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
That's the opportunities that I'm trying to build here for California, not just for myself, but for everybody. Okay. These are things that I'm so passionate about this stuff that I want to invest my money and invest my time into these things.
So here we go. As we wrap up towards the end of the show, all of you guys are A-type personalities. Your egos are pretty big. That's just the way it is, right? Should you not be successful, would you be willing to work with, should the administration be an R administration, these great ideas that you have, would you be willing to allow them to be used by the person that is in the chair?
I mean, the whole point is to make California better, but the reason I'm running is because I don't believe these other people. I don't believe that they're good. I don't believe that they're not corruptible. My background, my heritage, my business acumen, the things I've done here in California, the fact that I'm probably the only one in the race that's actually from the state. I'm definitely the only one that has an ag business background. And I'm the only one that can actually sit here and walk you through solutions is the reason why.
You definitely did that. I mean, during this entire show, and I'm sure my audience would agree, every question I put to you, you had a cogent answer that was solution oriented. It wasn't complaining. It wasn't simply pointing out the problems. You offered solutions. So we've come to the end of this show, which I regret. It came so fast. I want to give you some time to tell the people how to get in touch with you. And if they want to help with your campaign, how do they do that? The next minute is yours. Go for it.
Thanks, Ken. Well, folks, I'm Leo Zackey, and I'd really love to be your next governor. As I mentioned, I've got 120-year family history here in California. I'm an Angelino. I've spent a lot of time in the Central Valley. I've got a business background in agriculture, and I'm here to make things right. I'm a businessman. I've been in politics. I want to do things to help the people. I'm not here to be the Republican governor for Republicans. I'm here to be the governor for all Californians and remind the folks that we are working within our legislature, even though it's heavily Democrat right now. I want to actually build working relationships with them sit down and break bread, understand who they are, and make sure that they understand that we are all in the same boat at the end of the day. This is one team. We are Team California. And if we are going to survive together, we must work together, or we are all going to go down together. So I would love to earn your help and your support. I'm very grateful to be endorsed by Dr. Robert Malone, as well as Agnes Gibney, the Angel Mom. So if you want to see real change here in California, please consider supporting me at leozacky.com. Check out my radio show, America Matters, on the Salem Network. You can go to America Matters Media's Facebook page, or Zacky Radio on Rumble or YouTube. And don't forget, it's time for change. The people of California are ready. Do you want to have more of the same? And don't forget, Republicans have an opportunity to win here. Do you want a real Republican, or do you want more of the same? I'm here to bring you the change that you want. We're going to end this woke reality that we're being subject to. We're going to go against the globalists. We're going to bring wealth and prosperity and safety back to your homes and back to your lives.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is from the mouth of a gubernatorial candidate, Mr. Leo Zacky. He does what he says he's going to do. His record is proven. He is a California businessman. He is native born to California, and he does have some solutions to offer to the problems. We are honored to have been able to present him to you today. You have his contact information. If you like what you've heard, get involved. Do not sit on your couch. Don't wait for somebody else to do something, because the bottom line with this whole thing, we haven't had a Republican governor in almost 20 years. And just the very nature of the political beast says it's time. So if we were ever going to do it, now is the time. And you have a plethora of solid candidates to be able to choose from. And so with that, let me do my signature close. Hey, listen to me. There's no place I'd rather be, nothing I'd rather do than being right here doing this show for you. I'm Ken White with Mr. Leo Zacky, gubernatorial candidate for the state of California, and we are out.
I'm Leo Zacky, and I'm running for governor in California. I'd love to earn your support. If you want to learn more about me, please go to leozacky.com and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Leo S. Zacky.